What's up, everyone's been open around. Thank you for that. I've said before how so good. But that's besides the point. Now I can see the coverage once again. Guillaume Hamling leads the way ahead of the champion leader, Bailey Thompson. Newbie of Alinda there in the Audi. Left still at 10%. Separated from the three, so fantastic showing there, of course, from the debutant. I've gone through all the intro and things like that, and honestly, guys, I'm so sorry. But unfortunately, a snazzy improvised intro. There's a McLaren getting it all sorts of wrong to the right-hand side of the second Lesmo. As you run your way down this back stretch of flat out section, dip under the old banking. And he's getting home well onto a Lamborghini. 300ths of a second, he tops the qualifying session so far on. No one, of course, opting, well, for him, not opting to use any slipstream, which honestly I would have expected a lot of in terms of Monza. Very straight line oriented. You spent a good portion of this lap at full throttle. So a heavy reliance on that slipstream to minimise the drag reduction, or to maximise the drag reduction, to minimise the drag, I should say. Out of the final corner of Parabolica, not the Alboreto Cav, but Parabolica, Guillaume Hamling, is he going to improve on his previous best of a 1:48.157 across the line? Short dash as it is, he does marginally by the same, by about half a tenth or so up now. Still on pole position, but Bailey Thompson quick to top that by 33 thousandths of a second, 48.0 apiece for the pair of them. But the Mercedes seems to be dominant over the Italian manufacturer. Well, there's Derek Sun, incredible qualifier. Unfortunately, not really been able to string some results in the race. 0.3 of a second he takes provisional pole by. Here's Nicholas Alvarado, race winner, of course, back in Misano. Very, very quick driver indeed. Only 6 tenths off pole as it stands. But for the Italians, likes the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris, we see Wells there back in 16th. A number of Lamborghinis as well. There's Brian and Mohammed also. They're going to want to put some good results in on their home turf, but at the moment it's the Japanese and German 1-2. The Italians are down in third, then in 15th, 17th. So far not the best of showings, but I'm sure Guillaume Hamling has something to pull out the bag. He's the Dutchman is definitely very, very quick indeed. Derek Sun back into the pit lane, now back out for another lap. With just over half of the session left to go. Here's the Argentinian of Alvarado coming into the Ascari chicane. Very, very quick, very tough corner as well. Seven minutes 45 seconds left in qualifying. Nicholas Alvarado just unfortunately having to abort his lap time. Here's the German Dominik Eligner. I do hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's the first time I've seen a German name of Eligner. I do hope, because obviously the Italians have like Igna, that would be pronounced, I think, because the double L, but I'm not too sure about German. I do hope that is right. Of course, the German in the German car. Very, very quick showing for the debutant so far in the four ring. Should be very quick because it is just the German Lamborghini, as those on iRacing would dub it. Across the line, what is he going to be able to do? 5 tenths off pole, gets himself onto the front row. Half a tenth back off Derek Sun. Brilliant showing there for a second run. And of course, as they progress over the course of this session, they are going to slowly get quicker, more rub it in. That is a very, very close running Honda NSX to the rear end of that McLaren of Santiago Rodriguez. Putting out the left-hand side, is the McLaren going to put up much of a fight? You would expect not, because it is qualifying. And you're not going to gain much. All you're going to do is harm each other. You can see the Honda just darting to the outside, really turning in early to try and get the line and force Rodriguez into conceding. Those of you who are watching at home, though, I do hope you're enjoying. Following along, of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, turn the bell on for any future installments, of course, of any sim racing championship. We've got many varieties of disciplines of racing, many different championships, different communities throughout the week. Some 2, 3, I think sometimes even 4 championships a night. So definitely do go and have a bit of a nosy as to what broadcast you want to dip your fingers into. Right now we are here for the Sim Racing Collective. If you do want to get yourself involved, head over to the Sim Grid page. and see if you can get yourself involved for Season 2. If not, definitely look out for the future of Season 3, and I'm sure the TSRC also do run a variety of different championships over the course of Assetto Corsa iRacing, and on all platforms as well, on PlayStation and Xbox. So definitely a lot of stuff to get involved in. There's Victor Martin, the Spaniard in the McLaren, up now to 3rd place, 5/1000ths of a second clear of the Dutchman of Guillaume Hamling, and making the Italians' day in terms of the Lamborghinis much more sour, pushing them down to 4th and 5th respectively. But Mohammed, of course, pole position of the reverse grid race in Brands Hatch, sees himself in 5th place at the moment. Fernando Torres, the Porsche, 2.7 seconds off pole as it stands, with 5 seconds left to go in qualifying. Did I say 5 seconds? 5 minutes left to go in qualifying. But yeah, here's Torres. Of course, as I say, week in, week out, not the very well-decorated, acclaimed football player. He actually don't know where that's from. I'm not entirely sure. It's interesting. But yeah, speaking a little bit earlier on, of course, while I was muted, talk about how it is December, season of giving and things like that. It is a fantastic month. I do love December. It's all cold and everything. I'll tell you a story actually, because nothing really going on at the moment in terms of qualifying with 4 minutes left to go. Was on my bike today and got to a junction and obviously it was quite icy. And I didn't expect it to be as icy as it was, and I put the brake on and it stopped, and then I put my foot down and it slipped. And I nearly went backwards, which was great. And that's not even the end of it. A nice little guy in a van was indicating to turn into said junction, let me go. And obviously where it was icy, I tried to put the power down. Obviously I got an electric bike, tried to put my power down, the wheel just kept spinning and I just didn't move. So I eventually had to go for the old sim racing tactic of just slowly putting the power on and driving out, and it was so sluggish, really trying to get going. He was just sat there as if he wanted to go and make a 3-course meal while he waited. It was very, very awkward. It was great. And I honestly really wish I could have just slammed the throttle down. That's not really a throttle, more just a power button. And roll spin, but unfortunately I couldn't. Yeah, be careful on the roads, and as I say, season of giving. So if you are feeling generous, definitely go take a look at the GoFundMe page for a new knee blanket for Matt Acton. Of course, poor guy is getting a little bit old, and could use the knee blanket for him over the course of his sim racing journey. Might help him shave off a couple of seconds or so, and might help him with his bad knees. Of course, you know, as you get older, your knees do start to buckle. Though Matt Acton's age, I'm not sure he's convinced that he's got any knees left. So of course the brake and throttle application are going to be a little bit difficult. So maybe a knee blanket might not be the choice. Maybe prosthetic knee might be a better one. But again, that remains to be seen. Guillaume Hamling out the final corner of Parabolica was held up a little bit on that lap, though is good enough still for pole position. 1/10 clear of Derek Sun. 47.645 now is the benchmark. It is very, very close in terms of qualifying. Looking at the top 10, less than a second cover them. Nicolas Alvarado rounds it off. Just in behind that, second place man in the championship, Samu Tremondley in P11. Very, very close race indeed. Martin Blankensteiner up there in 8th overall. Only 8/10 off the provisional pole lead as well. Pro lead, of course, of Derek Sam. So Martin Blankensteiner, championship leader, of course, in the AMS by about 6.5 points. Actually, no, it's not by 6.5 points. That's the pros. It's by 1 point in the AMS. I do correct myself. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. Really is impressing. Now, of course, knocked down to P9 because Nico Veldman gets himself up into 7th place. Here is the Spaniard of Victor Martin out of the final corner of Parabolica. Short run to the line, of course. 2 minutes left to go, so he gets 2 more laps if he wants them. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. Good enough for the second row of the grid. Up now into P3. And 3/10 separate the top 3. Very, very close. As I continue to elaborate on and waffle on about it is great. You do expect close qualifying sessions here at Monza. We see Matt Acton and Rhys Williams. It's fine, Matt. You won't be the only one getting the stick today. I'm sure. We'll make sure to take the mick out of many people tonight. Here's Bailey Thompson himself. Championship leader, of course, down in P7. Going to want to try and rectify that as he heads on to his final lap in the qualifying session. The more you go on, the more you improve due to the track evolution. 47.7 up now into P4. So rounds off the second row of the grid alongside the Spaniard of Victor Martin. Though with 1 more lap left to go, the checker flag will be waved in a minute and 13 seconds time. He's going to want to try and make that last-ditch effort to just get himself maybe up another place or another 2 places. When it comes to Monza, you either want to start right at the front or right at the back. You do not want to be sort of from 5th downwards at all, because it is just carnage. Of course, renowned for its turn 1 shenanigans at the Rettifilio chicane. Martin Blankensteiner up there in 6th. That is awesome showing from him. He's in bed with his overtime. Oh, that is unfortunate for him. Maybe if you get yourself a new blanket, you would be lovely jubbly. Sammy Tremondley, Honda NSX, triple one car across the line. P6 for him at the moment. Demotes Martin Blankensteiner, Alvarado, Mohammed, and Veldman to the fringes of the top 10. Knocks Jack Southfield out of the top 10 down to P11 now. 20 seconds left to go in qualifying. Here's Guillaume Hamling very wide off the exit of the first Lesmo. And that should bring an end to his bid for pole position. It seems that it could be another one for Derek Sun, who has had a remarkable form in terms of qualifying, though unfortunately for him has not really had the luck in the races or the consistency in the races or anything like that, which is unfortunate because of the promise that he has shown. It is really a shame. He's down there in P4 in the standings, only 8.5 points off. P1 at the first race at Catalunya, then P13 and 2 DNFs consecutively at Brands Hatch will take his drop score for those 2 rounds, which is a shame. Checker flag is waved. Guillaume Hamling through the final corner of Parabolica. I'm doubtful he is going to be able to improve in that Lamborghini, though. We'll have to wait and see. Is it going to be a surprise pole position? Not quite. Still does improve. Brings down the gap to just over 1/10 of a second. Back now to Nicholas Alvarado in the 420. And chasing after that BMW, of course. In qualifying, you do want to have someone in your sights to try and chase. Of course, you don't want to stress about catching them and getting caught behind them, but you do want to have something to chase, something to aim off. If you catch them significantly, you know you're on a pretty decent lap. Going a bit slowly, there is the Honda NSX, I believe that is of Chimondoli. Letting them both through. Is Alvarado going to be able to improve? Only a couple of attempts will see him up a couple of places. He's not really got much to improve on if he wants to improve his place. The Martin Blankensteiner, class of the field at the moment, only half a second off pole position at the moment. Here's Alvarado, exit of Parabolica, short run to the line, head down just for that extra little bit of more DRS. Across the line, it's P3, brilliant stuff from Alvarado. James Wright, final couple to cross line, down in P17 at the moment. Still very close in qualifying. Could he get himself inside the top 15? Unfortunately not. It is remains to be P17 for him. We're going to take a look then at the standings after qualifying, how they're going to rack up for the race here at Monza. Pole, of course, on the left-hand side. And after 15 minutes of qualifying, it was Derek Sun that takes pole position. He'll be joined by Guillaume Hamling on the front row. Nicholas Alvarado and Victor Martin will share the second, with Bailey Thompson rounding out the top 5. Debutant of Elinga, P6. Sammy Tremondley and Martin Blankensteiner, 7th and 8th. Martin Blankensteiner, of course, pole for the AMS. Then comes Mohammed and Veldman, your top 10, with Davidson just in behind him. Actually, no, it's not. It's Jack Southfield rounding off the top 10. Then comes Davidson. Van Vingeren share the 6th row of the grid, with Courtney and Tomasi just in behind, sharing each other's company. Chris Davis rounds off the top 15. Josh Wright and Alex Skinner, 16th and 17th for 3rd and 4th in the AMS. Martinek, McClory, Troy, your top 20, with Fernando Torres and Mormada at the 11th row of the grid. Lawford and Brian alongside each other as they bow their way towards turn number 1. Looking beyond that, I don't think we have anyone beyond that. So it is just the top 24. I know we do. We're going to scroll down. There is Rodriguez, Dempsey, Wells, Smoggy, Peter Jackson, and Jones. Peter Jackson, of course, 3rd place in the AMS, down in P29 on this grid. Not where he would have wanted to be at all. But that is how they rack up after qualifying. Of course, we will soon come back in for the formation lap and then to talk you through the 40-minute race we have in store for round number 4 of the TSRC. I'm going to step away for just a moment, get myself a drink, and we will be back just in time for the formation lap.
Seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Underway then for the formation lap. Full formation lap, of course, for the TSRC gives the drivers plenty an opportunity to warm up their tyres. And, of course, that is going to be of vital importance in this race. As you barrel your way towards T1, you are going to be, able to cool the tyres and brakes quite a lot. So to be on already cold tyres and cool them down even more, you are not going to have much grip down and towards the Retifilo chicane. You've got to get your tyres up to temperature, get those tyre pressures up, have the grip ready. Of course, with those brakes, you do not want them too cold, because they're not going to work to their optimal function when you try and put a multiple G, sort of 3-4G, I think, under brakes in these GT3 cars, force into them, and try and rely on them to get stopped for turn number 1. So definitely a lot of preparation for this race. Anyone watching along at home on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, do definitely throw in your predictions and what your thoughts and feelings are throughout the race. Would be lovely to hear from you, get some community feedback in, and definitely get some engagement going on. Because I have got 40 minutes all by myself. Would be nice to have a bit of a laugh, a bit of a joke, or just a general chit-chat conversation with you all over the course of the race. If it does get a little bit dies down towards the end, which it naturally will do. Hopefully not, though. Hopefully we have fantastic action all the way throughout. But yeah, definitely a lot to pay attention on. A lot of championship standings at stake. It's nice to see you all and see your names pop up in chat. What you're thinking as we go through. 10:04 a.m. track time. That is going to provide us with some colder temps. You can see there only 20 degrees track temp, which isn't the hottest in the world. 18 degrees ambient temp, of course, and no wind. So pretty good track conditions. Not too hot, not too cold. Still a little bit colder, but you'd rather be on the cold side because then you can warm up rather than being already too hot and not being able to cool down, sort of thing. So does boast well for some good track conditions. Are we going to have to testify for witnessing all the murders in turn 1? I, for one, am going to turn a blind eye, plead the 5th. Or if you prefer to be British, plead if you're TMM right to the king. 4 a.m. 10:04 a.m. That's what I said. 10:04 a.m. Unless I didn't. Is it just 04 a.m.? I don't know. 10:04 a.m. That's what I said. Yeah. Sorry. My apologies. My sincerest apologies, Proxy. I'm not entirely blind, but yeah. Are we going to have to testify for the witnessing the murders in T1? Again, it's up to you. It's expected. It's what we have come to be accustomed to here at Monza in terms of speeds. And when you're going that quickly and trying to demand that much of the brakes that quickly, it can be a very awkward ordeal. We see the cars now lining up 2 by 2. Noah's Ark getting ready for the grid formation. Derek Sun on pole position. He'll be to the right-hand side of the pit wall. And Guillaume Hamling will be alongside him there on that front row. They will run side by side towards turn number 1. Though, is Nicolas Alvarado, Victor Martin going to be able to get themselves involved in that slipstream? Are we going to see any surprises down in towards turn 1? Or is it going to be same old, same old? 40 minutes on the clock, round number 4 of the Sim Racing Collective GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. The 4th round of Season 2. A fantastic championship battle has been shared so far. We kickstart the second half of the season with the Temple of Speed. Already a close qualifying session. We wait for the green flag to be waved. We approach the start line to signal us. And here we go, green flag wave. We're underway, side by side between Derek Sun and Guillaume Hamling, already running 2 abreast. Has the Lamborghini got the legs down the straight? 3 wide just in the background there. There's Bailey Thompson trying to thread the needle between the 2 McLarens of Nicolas Alvarado and Victor Martin. He's been able to get his nose ahead, though, sandwiched in the middle. You can see Derek Sun trying to hang on to the lead of the race, that gets tagged from the Argentinian of Alvarado. Off the track goes Guillaume Hamling, spinning round Derek Sun into the side there of Jack Southfield there in P10. Guillaume Hamling inherits the race lead, side by side between Victor Martin and Bailey Thompson just in the background to round off P4 as they run their way through Curva Grande towards towards the Roger. The second chicane turns 4 and 5. Just in the background there, you can see some side-by-side action. Here comes the McLaren looking to the inside of the Mercedes. Nicholas Alvarado gets tagged as they run their way through in towards the Roger, and a big moment, big story for what happened there to the pole sitter of Derek's son. Here's the championship leader, Bailey Thompson, up now into P3, making a fantastic start in that Mercedes, really getting the jump through the middle of the two McLarens, only able to get past one of them because of Alvarado's antics and very late braking, it must be said. Guillaume Houning really clearing off into the distance, though, half a second clear as they rounded off the first sector. We'll have to wait and see as to what it's going to be when they round off the second, but already a chaotic start, already a lot of stories to tell. Here's the Audi, the German of Elinga, looking to the outside of Victor Martin in toward the Ascari chicane. Who's going to come out on top of this one? Is it going to be the Honda NSX? Sorry, it's not an Audi, it's Cholmondeley to the outside. Second part of Ascari, that's always going to be tricky. Bit of contact between the two. One of them goes off, it's Victor Martin. Cholmondeley nearly follows him. That's going to cause chaos. Here's the Audi of Elinga following them through to the left-hand side of Parabolica. Also the other Audi of Nico Veldman, the Dutchman, now looking to the left-hand side. 2 wide, 3 rows deep. Elinga saws his way around the outside. Same too with Nico Veldman on the outside of Samuel Cholmondeley. Though the shorter run for the Honda NSX going to give him that run all the way down this back pitch straight off the exit of Parabolica. Both of them benefiting from the slipstream. Who is going to come out on top, though? We round off lap number 1, 38 minutes left on the clock. Nico Veldman really struggling in the straights. Here comes Cholmondeley trying to make it 3 wide, threaded the needle through the middle. The Spaniard of Victor Martin holding firm on the right hand side. Samuel Cholmondeley seems to be latest on the brakes, though. Elinga, is he going to be brave, bold on the outside? Yes, he is. Gets tagged round those spins round Victor Martin, the Spaniard, very confident on his inside line, able to stay in front for now. Samuel Cholmondeley rejoins the circuit, smacks into the side of one of the rejoining Audis. I think that might have been of Nico Veldman, and already carnage, chaos and excitement in these opening couple of laps. We cut our attention a couple of places forward, not side by side between Nico Veldman and the Porsche of Davidson, the 42, making up a couple of places during the skirmishes. Very late on the brakes, though, does the Porsche. Nico Veldman trying to be even more committed to the outside, still emerging 2 abreast as they run their way towards the 2 Lesmos. Also just in behind there, the Bentley and the Audi of Davison Courtney for 8th and 9th respectively. Nico Veldman having to tuck in behind, though, too late on the brakes for the Porsche of Davidson, is going to see him run a little bit too wide. Nico Veldman re-inherits 6th place. Noob night indeed. Yeah, that is some noob plays for sure. Bit of a spinning Porsche in the background. That might have been Elias Troyer, I think. Tom Davidson under pressure from now the other Audi, or the Honda, sorry, of Samuel Cholmondeley. Outside of Ascari, it didn't work from last lap. He's going to learn from his mistakes and tuck in behind. But looking back on that first opening couple of laps, well, we will in a second, because Tom Davidson making yet another mistake, really causing that Constantino effect of cars just in behind. You can see there the BMW and the Lexus running side by side. Same too with the Bentley and Porsche just in behind them. Alex Skinner, Team Ricky Monsters, 11th place as it stands, ahead of Tomasi, and able to stay in front for now. But I don't think we're really going to be able to take our eyes off the action for 1 second, even if we wanted to. Alex Skinner already on the defensive, same too with the Porsche of Elias Troyer just in behind there. Martinek trying to get involved also. Here's Tomasi to the left-hand side, 3 wide just in behind them for the fringes of the top 10 racing or ping pong. Yeah, I am just as confused as you are. Oh, that's late on the brakes from Alex Skinner. Slams into the back of Samuel Cholmondeley, which again for the championship is big news. Second place in the championship is Cholmondeley. Bailey Thompson up there in 3rd place with the fastest lap, and closing in, it must be said, on Nicholas Alvarado. We'll take a look back at this fight. For 2nd place, Guillaume Houning careering himself off into the distance, the length of about 1.1 seconds or so. Bailey Thompson going to want to get himself ahead of the Argentinian and then try and chase down on the Lamborghini, though good showing so far on home turf for the Italian manufacturer and of course for the Dutch driver of Guillaume Houning. But yeah, just quickly having a bit of a look, or reminiscence, it must be said, can't physically take a look at the opening couple of laps, but Jack Southwood, unfortunately, was just collected in that opening carnage among a number of people because of Derek's son bringing it back onto the circuit and tagging into the side of people. But yeah, Jack Southwood, poor dude. Hopefully he's not got so much damage to that car that he's going to be showing the meatball flag. That's all he's been doing for his entire racing career. He's been avoiding any pictures of black backgrounds as much as he can, due to the fact that he does end up looking like the meatball flag himself if he's exposed for too long, and a poor angle as well is going to make him a very squashed meatball flag at that. Cutting our way back to the live action though. Reminiscence is all done and dusted, and yeah, Monza does do weird things to people. Fingers crossed they can calm it down and get it sorted for the remainder of this race. Quinten van Wingeren, the Dutchman, looking to the inside of Fernando Torres, to the inside of the Parabolica. Runs it to the extremities of the circuit down in P17 for Quinten van Wingeren. Recently, of course, changed his name to Van Wingeren from Van Luzingen, and was hoping that, of course, Van Wingeren means that he's going to be able to get himself up amongst some of the faster guys. At the moment, that's not proving to quite be the case. The chunky Nissan GTR does not prove to be very quick down the straights. Late on the brakes, though, of course, for the Dutchman, sees him stay in front of Torres for 16th place at the moment. John Murderer got murdered. Ooh, play on the names there from Cuddles the Bear. Very comedic genius, it must be said. Lawford on the back of Torres. You had a look there, look into the inside of turn number 3 of Curva Grande. And Croxay has never this bad before, unfortunately. Yeah, Monza is a bit of an anonymous circuit. Had a touring car race here once. Modified circuit, of course. You didn't go right then left the Retfiler. You just went straight on. T1 was Curva Grande. And you modified the Roger just a little bit. It was more just a sweep of left, right, pretty much straight. There is Davidson having a bit of an off as Conor Courtney, a winner last time out for race number 1 of Brands Hatch, down in P7, of course, but wants to make it 6th to the outside of Davis, who has to tuck into that Audi, looking mighty quick. Oh, very close under brakes from the Bentley of Chris Davis. But Conor Courtney up there now into what is 7th place overall, and a great showing, of course, from the Irish person. And again, proving their consistency after that victory at race 1 Brands Hatch. But yeah, back to the story of the touring cars, modified track and everything. We had a great start. Someone got completely shunted at what was turn 2 at the time. And at the end of the race, we only had sort of half the finishes. I think even less than that, 8 of 20, I think, were the finishing order. Back to the front, Jack Southfield on a recovery side by side with Fernando Torres. The Aston Martin, of course, as we said, spun round at the opening chicane. But with just over half an hour left to go in this race, is trying to make the best of amends as possible. Jack Southfield, incredibly quick young driver in that 64. TSRC Aston Martin himself, representing the championship as best he can, and looking at the championship standings as they are currently, I believe he is indeed 3rd place in the championship, 1 point off Samuel Tremondley, and 7.5 points off Bailey Thompson. So going to take a big step back relative to Thompson, not so much to the case of Samuel Tremondley, going to gain a couple of points relative to them. But in terms of a championship charge, yeah, big news for Samuel Tremondley and Jack Southfield, Derek's son as well. So Smokey rounds off the top 5 in the championship. He's doing very well, up now to P9 from the back of the grid. Absolute animal, it must be said, running his way through. And just in front, we've got Quinten van Wingeren running side by side with McClory, sorry. Oof, that got a little bit squirrely there. Quinten van Wingeren, of course, stepping up from the AMs to the pros this season, getting a little bit screwy with his ex-comrades of those in the AM class. Jack Southfield just trying to take a shadowing stance to this, see what they're going to do and try and work his way through as cleanly as possible. You can see there McClory having a bit of a look to the inside of the Dutchman, side by side through Ascari. Southfield taking a big step back, tried to use that backwards momentum to propel himself past the pair of them, and it might have worked. The BMW very, very wide indeed, invites the Aston Martin to the left-hand side, going to benefit, of course, off the slipstream of the Nissan GTR just in front of him as well. And that should see him up now into the top 15. Very late on the brakes though, Jack Southfield. Too late on the brakes for Jack Southfield. Off the circuit, taking the very long way around. Hopefully he doesn't do an Alex Belloni from 2020 or 2019 Monza F3, where he just took off on that sausage cab. Luckily he's been able to bring it back onto the circuit, pointing the right way and keeping all 4 wheels on in contact with the ground. Now looking to the right-hand side of the BMW is Fernando Torres and Lawford also trying to find their way through. Fernando Torres following the young Brit through, might actually eye up a move for 2 in 1. Bates Jack Southfield a little bit wide, using the outer extremities of the circuit is the 24 Porsche. Unfortunately unable to find a way through. Of course, this is the fight amongst classes, between classes. Jack Southfield is not going to be losing any championship points if he does relinquish these places, though he's not going to want to do that due to the loss of track position. Same too for Fernando Torres. If he gets in front, though, it might be good to have a car in between himself and his rivals of McClory Lawford right just in behind them. But yeah, Johnny Woe, Smokey already up there into P9, 1.5 seconds off Davis. If he continues to fight with Conor Courtney, might see the Mercedes close up even more time. Yes, so Smokey really, really impressing this season. Of course, did take a bit of a comeback drive last time out at Brands Hatch as well. So really impressed by the Germans' progress. Is the Lamborghini versus the Nissan GTR. There's big contact there, sending Brian into the gravel trap runoff at Ascari. Quinten van Mingeren is not going to be too positively looked on. Let's put it that way, or too light, it must be said, from Brian. Puts him under pressure from Jack Southfield though, who's going to try and saw his way to the outside line. Might take a bit more caution though after seeing what Quinten van Mingeren has just done to the Lamborghini. Gets the driver off Parabolica, the Jack Southfield. You do naturally take a bit of a preference to certain drivers at certain points. You'll know he's on a bit of an off day today. He's not as calm and collected as he usually is. He's quite aggressive. I'll be more careful when I try and make an overtake. I give that a 9. Only a 9. Wow, interesting. Here's Southfield to the inside. Plain sailing move, of course, not really much Van Mingeren can do to that one. But Matt Acton, of course, your dive bomb connoisseur. Racing dive bombs all the way back since 1754. When the first steam engines were invented, he always had a bit of a look as to who was latest on the brakes, and that continues to this day. See, and Matt Acton, that wasn't even from Andrew, that was just one I made up myself, so I do apologise, kind of. Just a little bit. It's Christmas, you've got to let me off. I'm still a child, you don't want to ruin my Christmas. Yeah, you can't do anything. I'm going to play that card. And change topic very quickly. We've got a fight for the podium here between Bailey Thompson and Victor Martin. The Brit versus the Spaniard. 1.5 seconds, Bailey Thompson has fallen off the back of Nicolas Alvarado, who himself has been able to take the fastest lap off of the championship leader. Guillaume Hamling, though, still continues to extend the gap out in front. Pit window is open for the next 15 minutes. It's because, right, you said Quinten van Torpedo, no, I had Van Vingeren, and yeah. Regardless of which, pit window open for the next 14 minutes and 40 seconds. They do have to come in for some fuel. They don't have to take tyres. And for them, they can come in and try and time it to the best of their ability. Victor Martin very late on the brakes. Inside for Sir Smokey. Dive bomb and a half from the German in the Mercedes. Gets a stop. Brilliantly done ahead now of the 21. Audi, though numbered the 46 of Conor Courtney. Up now into 7th place to Sir Smokey. Brilliantly done. I thought we were making bad puns. The keyword there is bad pun. Unfortunately for Cuddles the Bear. Interesting name, it must be said. Not hating, just interesting. Chazmeister. Do we have Chaz Draycott fan in the chat? Matt Acton, of course. Johnny Woe, Proxay. Not had from Proxay in a while. Get yourself in, get nosy in. They don't bite. Matt Acton might, I don't know. Probably get some rabies test shots after that one as well. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I feel a bit too harsh now. Don't want to lose Matt Acton in his entirety. Stop go 30 seconds for Elias Troyer. They're back there in P20. That is, of course, due to speeding going into the pit lane. Taking their mandatory pit stop. Though it was going to have to come in again. 300 stubs there, we're getting told from Dan Pepples. Of course, the caster that runs here on JP Broadcasting as well. Alongside James Parfitt, the man himself, for a number of series, the MX-5s. Some radicals as well. He's one of the staple names, of course, in the broadcasting company, and very well deservedly celebrating 300 subscribers over on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. If you aren't already subscribed, do definitely go and check. Turn on the bell for notifications as well to be notified for any new broadcasts that come up. As I say, multiple streams per night. You can take your fancy, see what tickles it, and get yourself in on some racing action. Fantastic broadcasters, fantastic commentators, and some fantastic action all throughout the week. Velogia had this car for like 15 years, never bothered to change it. Fair enough from Velogia. I do hope, because I gave it my first attempt at pronouncing your first name last time out. At Brands Hatch. And I said Vyacheslav, and I don't know if that's right, but I fingers crossed, I do hope it does. Rambling more frothy during PST. No idea what PST is. I'll be completely honest, Chazmeister. But unfortunately, I am in the commentary booth by myself. No one to bounce off, so I'm trying to use you guys as a stepping stone to bounce off that. Speaking of talking points, though, we are going to see Sir Smokey. We're going to talk about him for just a second. Of course, big name in this championship, 4th as it stands. And is currently running P7. Started, of course, last on the grid. It's close enough, fair enough. Sir Smokey last on the grid. In qualifying, wasn't able to set a lap time, though since then has soared his way through the field. Nicholas Alvarado into the pit lane. And we could potentially see a last to first. I think that is a little bit out of the question, but we will we'll have a bit of a look post race. We'll see where he comes to the front. And this pit window sequence, preseason testing with average ramble. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, honestly, you have to. You know, I'm not Crofty's #1 fan or anything like that. I do respect him as a commentator. He is really good when it comes to the really high action moments. But you do have to. And, you know, you do definitely do have to ramble at some points just to fill the time. Because if I just stopped talking for the next 10 minutes, you'd all be very bored. It wouldn't be much of a stream, you just have engine noise. I can do it if you want. I'd definitely get paid to do a lot less work. Let's put it that way. But no, I do enjoy commentating, bringing the broadcast and talking to you lot. I think you're a lovely lot. Even you, Matt Acton. Even you. It is nearly close enough to get offended by. Thank God for that. It is, honestly, one of the biggest woes as a sim racing commentator is the... You're probably my real name even harder. Probably, I mean, I am British, and anything remotely foreign to us is scary. I do find it quite hard, of course, with the Baltics. And the Polish as well do have some quite hard names. Yeah, they are very difficult. I often find myself looking through the entry list before broadcast and trying to practice the pronunciation. I'll be sat there phonetically trying to sound it out, like, it is very hard, particularly when you have like just a random grid and you're jumped into like an iRacing official race or something like I do for Friday Night Primetime. Cuddles the Bear is not that hard, yeah. Yeah, like you just get thrown in and you don't have an entry list or anything like that. So boom, you know the names of the drivers as you're reading through the grid order. You're like, so on pole position, it's this guy, and it is a lot of fun to try and wing it. I know Cameron Roger, again another fantastic commentator. Unfortunately, not involved here at JP Broadcasting. Though is fantastic. He also does struggle, as do many British broadcasters. In all honesty. We focus our attention now between Rodriguez and Lawford, this fight for 22nd overall, waiting of course for a number of pit stops to funnel themselves up. We did see of course Nicholas Alvarado come in. At least we say coupe like it's meant to be said, that is true. A number of us don't say Porsche right though, we just say Porsche. Good bit of racing between the two McLarens though, potentially. We see Steve Lawford looking to the outside. That's a brilliant move if he can make that one work. Lovely jubbly to the outside of the Roger. Manages to keep the nose pointed the right way though. A bit of a snap. Could invite the fellow McLaren of Rodriguez back through if he can have a look to the outside. And manages to stay in front for P21. Halfway through now this race. 20 minutes left to go. Nicholas Alvarado just a couple of places up the road. He, of course, as I say, has already taken his mandatory pit stop. You notice there, of course, by the green next to the name on the timer tower, you've got their position, their name. Oh, there's Steve Lawford having a bit of an off. That was an awkward one, to say the least. Through Ascari, maybe just caught up on the curb. I was too focused on the timer tower. I didn't actually see the cause of the incident. Martin Blankensteiner now pulling his way into the pit lane for the Danish Championship leader in the AMS. pulling himself in. Same too for Bailey Thompson, the Pro Championship leader as well. Following in behind is Connor Courtney and the Bentley of Davis as well. But yeah, back to my point, you can tell when they've taken their mandatory pit stop because you've got their position, their name, their manufacturer, their car number, then a little coloured box there. If it's got orange and a 1, that means they haven't taken their stop yet. If it's green, they have. They have to come in for a mandatory stop. They have to fuel up. They don't have to take tyres, which is why you're not going to see any cars up onto the jacks to change tyres or anything like that. They have got a 15-minute window to do that, of which they've got 6.5 minutes left to do so. Here's Martin Bryan just a little bit further back, had a big off after coming into contact with Van Vingeren a little bit earlier ago, and is fighting with Dempsey, I believe, for oh no, it's not, that's a BMW, so there must be a bit of lap traffic there right at the tail end of the grid in P25. Bit of a skill issue there, yeah, definitely. I do agree with you, Volodya. The couple of noobs. Yeah, it must be said. Got to take the mickey out of some people. Got to give them that stick, constructive criticism or something like that. But yeah, we see Bailey Thompson, Blankenstein, Connor Courtney, Davis, Skinner, Jack Southwood, Aligna, Torres and McCrory all into the pit lane. Some of them coming out the top half of those names, making their way out of the pit lane and trying to make the most of this pit lane sequence. The amount of fuel you can save over that first sort of bit of this session is going to help you, unless you have got a locked 30 seconds time window in terms of the pit lane. I'm not actually entirely sure as to what the rules are. I think it is 30 seconds control lock, unless that is for changing tyres. I haven't played ACC in a while, so I'm not entirely too familiar when it comes to just fueling up. But yeah, it's interesting in terms of the strategy, how much fuel you can save, how much can you limit your pit stop time by, when do you time your pit stop, do you come in with someone, do you hopefully not get caught up in traffic on your way in or out. A lot does go into it, not quite to the same extent as say a 24-hour race or a 6-hour race or anything of the sort, but you still have to play a factor in these sprint races when your adrenaline is pumping all the way through. You haven't really got a moment to stop and think about the pit strategy, because that's another thing about sim races, is that some of them, like that McLaren, does take to rallycross more so than they do road course racing, but they have to do everything. They have to be their own driver, their own strategist, their own engineer, unless you've obviously got other people in voice chat to do it for you. But for the vast majority of people who are sim racers who don't have friends, you've got to do it all yourself, and really think on your feet, which is where the practice comes in. 25 seconds locked unless you take tyres, then it's 30 seconds. So yeah, 25 seconds locked. So it's more so about the timing of when you come in, more so than how much fuel you can save or how much you can limit your stop by. Aligna on the back of Torres, both of which have taken their mandatory stop. So this is for position. Thank you, of course, to Derek Sun for giving us that information. Insight from the driver's side, which is always great. Again, if you hear it firsthand from the drivers, it is always fantastic. Here's Bailey Thompson, Nicholas Alvarado running side, but no, it's not. No, it is not. Where have I got that from? It's Nicholas Alvarado running side by side with a fellow McLaren. Is that a Victor Martin? Yes, it is. This now is for the podium. I entirely apologise. I had a blonde moment there. Alvarado versus Martin. This could be for a podium place. The Argentinian to the inside of the Roger. You can see the Spaniard now trying to go the long way round. Back up the inside for the second part. They are still going to emerge side by side. Nicholas Alvarado, though, beached a little bit on the outside. Not quite able to get the run he would have wanted. So now the fight for P4 rages on. Victor Martin versus Nicholas Alvarado. The two McLarens. Nico Veldman in from the top of the timing tower. Promotes Victor Martin and Nicholas Alvarado onto the podium. Bailey Thompson, Guillaume Hamling inheriting the top 2 places in this race. Just over 16 minutes left to go of what has been a 40-minute showdown, and we could still have a good fight here sparked for the podium. And that is the kind of shake-ups that you do see when it comes to the pit window. How efficiently can you get in and out of the pit lane, not losing yourself too much time, not getting caught up in traffic, still having yourself a slipstream partner, anything of the above can still play a pivotal factor in your success throughout this race. Joanne Jones side by side with McCrory, the BMW just in front of them for P19. So not, of course, the most important fight in the world, but still potentially a good one. Creme Dome Racing, the number 16 McLaren, looking to the outside, though unfortunately nothing coming into fruition. This is, of course, for 6th place in the AM standings, or 7th place, I should say. Oh no, it is for 6th. 6th place in the AM standings overall. We do run 2 separate championships here at the TSRC. If you are new here, pros and the AMs. The pros are seen by the white number plates. The AMs are seen with the reds. So you can see that right at the top end of the time tower. Martin Blankenstein, a P7 overall, leading the way in the AMs. This is the fight between Nicholas Alvarado and Victor Martin. Unfortunately, the pink 420 McLaren falling off a little bit from the back of his fellow McLaren, and Victor Martin just in front of him, losing that gap to the fringes of around about 0.8 of a second. So you're going to have to reclose that gap back in. The one thing that has been undeniable in this race has been Guillaume Hamlin's success, able to take the lead after ditching to the runoff at turn 1 and 2 to avoid the crash caused by the spinning Derek Simon of Nicholas Alvarado careering into the back end of him. Guillaume Hamlin was able to make the most of that, cut the chicane and sail his way to what has been so far a fairly comfortable victory, unless Bailey Thompson has anything to say about that. Able to get himself up in a second place. Now have a look at the gap. Has it closed? Yes. Back now to 2.975 seconds, which is closer than they were before the pit lane. Is it close enough to see Bailey Thompson spark an attack? Is Guillaume Hamlin going to make any mistakes? Shouts out to car 42 of Mr. Davidson from Stream 1. He's done a great job. He's had his ups and downs over the course of this race. The VSRC CR Zoomers driver, brilliant livery on that Porsche. I do love it, how sort of the vibrancy contrast with the black and the white, the stripes. It just looks so sleek, so well done. It does look great. And of course the Porsche just is a great car to look at anyway. Full stop. You will love to see the Porsche every time. Great bit of German manufacturing. So not a great showcase of British driving on the exit of Ascari there. I feel really bad. I've been ripping into a lot of people today. And it is just a bit of banter in it. Back up to this fight for the podium. Victor Martin versus Nicholas Alvarado. Still fighting between the two of them. Half a second separate them now, even less, 3.5 tenths as they run their way in towards the Roger. The slipstream really helping Alvarado stay in touch, trying to make the most of all the apexes, which is all you really can do here at Monza. Make the most of your exits, and you will succeed. 12.5 minutes left. Pit window is now shut. If you didn't take it, you've got yourself a big old penalty, slap on the wrist for not doing so. I think even a disqualification, again I'm not sure. But I think everyone was able to find their way into the pit lane. You did have ample time to be able to do it. We see Alvarado, of course, still chasing after his fellow McLaren. Has been the theme. Looking at the front fight between Guillaume Hamlin and Bailey Thompson, 2.9 seconds still, so reached a bit of a stalemate between the two of them, matched on pace, matched on consistency as well, so it is going to be a case of who flinches first in this fight for the lead. For Bailey Thompson, will be content with second place, extending his championship lead, of course, at the front of the pros, on a day where Sandwich Mondley down in 17th, Jack Southfield down in 12th, 2.999 seconds, so yeah, still virtually matched to the naked eye. On the last couple of laps. Guillaume Hamlin just slightly having the measure of him. Yeah, no action to call at the moment. Nicholas Alvarado still trying to close the gap onto Victor Martin. But in terms of the future of this series, the next 2 rounds we are going to see races at Indianapolis, the road course where you don't take to the oval, at least for most of the track. You do take a little bit towards the tail end of it. And then to round off the season at Spa. 6 new tracks for Season 2, no replicas. And what a season we had at Season 1, and that continues into the second season of the Sim Racing Collective. PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. You join us for round 4 at Monza. That is obvious though. Jack Southfield getting himself to the inside of Alex Skinner for P11 now. Aston Martin trying to spark a resurgence to the front of the pack. Though that place on the Team Rookie Monsters, Lexus is not going to see him gain any championship points, unfortunately. You can see there Tom Davidson just a couple of seconds off in the background in that Porsche. This fight, you saw there just in the tail end of shot. This is Martin Bryan versus the Colombian of Rodriguez, side by side through the Parabolica. The Lamborghini able to get himself up ahead into P23. Again, not the most exhilarating fights this far down on the grid. though racing is racing at the end of the day. Would love to see this fight, though, for third place if Nicolas Alvarado can get close enough. Where are the dive bombs now? Alvarado? You had plenty of them in the opening stage of the race. Where are they now? Send one. Go on. As long as you shout incoming loud enough so that they can hear you, they have warning. If they don't get out of the way after that, that's their problem. You gave them their insurance. Of course, I do joke. Do not send people to the Shadow Realm. If you did get the wrong idea from that, I do not want to be held liable for any future penalties in any championships you guys partake in because you've taken on that advice. But yeah, really anticipating this fight. Hopefully Alvarado can get close enough over the course of the next 9 minutes. But let's have a little chat in the YouTube chat. If you want to type in what your thoughts and feelings have been of this race so far, anything you want to discuss, any topics that you want to talk about. Of course, though, maybe come back to that in a second because the lap traffic, that is Brian getting in the way of the two McLarens fighting for the podium. That could have sparked actually the fight for Nicolas Alvarado to maybe get onto the back of Victor Martin, though unfortunately it's not been the case. So that is an anticlimax to say the least. Looking forward in terms of sim racing, though, we see the return of the VCO Pro Sim and the Infinity format on over the course of the next 2 days, over on Friday and Saturday. And do definitely get yourself on board in terms of the broadcast watching on the VCO Esports YouTube and Twitch channel, because that is a race to watch. 24 individual races, 45 minutes in length, of course. We take to 5 different tracks and 5 different track combos as well. And that, for one, is for sure one to look forward to. I had a lot of fun on the original Infinity Pro Sim as well, where you involve a real-world driver for at least a couple of your races. Combining the two formats, two of VCO's biggest formats, into one big showdown. Really looking forward to it. I'll take to Saturday morning, 8 to 11, with alongside Luke Crane. So if you do want to get a bit more of the Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth, definitely looking forward to my tracks and combos. Tom Davidson to the outside of Alex Skinner, though. Again, this is not for championship position, more so just a bit of pride between the two of them. Side by side between the Team Ricky Monsters Lexus and the VSRC Porsche. Side by side they emerge. There's, of course, Alingna just in behind there in the 4 rings of the Audi. Are we going to see any further moves? Quite able to. Tom Davidson looking to the outside. We're doing the Flex Stream series. I haven't heard a lot about that. I know Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kankapati and Ewan O'Leary have been commentating through the vast majority of the series so far. I think there's only been 1 round at Kota. But yeah, definitely Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kankapati and Ewan O'Leary, all very talented commentators. Ewan O'Leary, of course, has been involved here on the JP Broadcasting, commentated this very series last season, round 2 at the Nürburgring. He took you through that one. Very talented commentator. The only thing that lets me down is the fact he is Northern. Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kankapati, between the both of them, dominate the sim racing scene in terms of commentary. And our very own James Parfitt, the big man, the boss man, leading the way in the broadcasting company. Of course, is going to take to the Flex Stream series as well throughout January, which is one for sure to look forward to if you are a big fan of James Parfitt. Voted, of course, top 5 nominees for the VCO Simi. Yeah, Kurt did not go well for us. I didn't actually follow it myself, unfortunately. I didn't really follow it too much. I didn't actually see what went on, but there's always next round. Fingers crossed the rest of the season does go well for you. But again, as you say, VCO Infinity should be fun this weekend for sure. I had a lot of fun. I was able to commentate 4 races over the course of the original VCO Infinity. I had IndyCars at Monza. I then went to F3's at Spa, McLaren's at Silverstone, and then I went back to touring cars at Spa, which were very, very interesting. But for this time around, I get 3 races. I get Indies. I get what else do I get? Honda Civics, and I get the Porsche. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how all that goes down. So yeah, definitely do tune in for the majority of the 24 hours, because as I say, 24 individual races are so much better than one long 24-hour race. We'll come back to that in just a second. Side by side between Tremondoli and Tomasi, between the pair of them fighting for 16th place, and it is going to be Tremondoli that reigns supreme in this particular fight. But yeah, I honestly, for me, endurance racing is one of those that I don't really... I don't want to say I don't enjoy commentating on, because I enjoy commentating on most things, right? It's just not my favourite. I personally I get the appeal. I see why people enjoy endurance racing. You know, the whole consistency, run it through to the end of the race, play the strategy, see how it funnels out, that sort of artistic nature of it. And I do get that, and I do think it is awesome to see. However, for me, I just prefer a series like this. 40 minutes, go at it, see what you can do, rack the car to its limits side by side as much as you can, you know, trying to shout at the top of your lungs to keep up with it all. That's the type of commentary that I really, really enjoy. Those are the types of championships that I really enjoy commentating on. When it comes to endurance racing, particularly when you've got sort of the middle portion of the race, it's not the most exhilarating, and you just sit there more of a podcast sort of thing with the other guy you're commentating with, and you're just trying to sort of have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of banter, and get through your stint because there's not really going to be much to actually talk about regarding the race. That's why I prefer, you know, the short, sweet series like this, and that's why I enjoyed VCO Infinity so much, because by the time the race starts to die down, it's already finished. And there is no race dying down like this one between Dominic Ilner and the Porsche of Tom Davidson fighting over 11th place. Again, this is for position. Aligna not really showcasing their true talent over the course of this race, I don't think. They qualified quite well, but unfortunately did fall back through the pack. And that has been to their downfall. Already going defensive to the right-hand side of the circuit versus Tom Davidson, who pulls to the left. Is he going to be brave enough on the brakes to send the move to the outside? Dominic Ilner, very, very late indeed, maybe even too late. You can see the Porsche trying to set up the double switcheroo, though not quite able to. The Audi got the measure in terms of the acceleration versus the Porsche. But yeah, I prefer the short and sweet, which is why I'm looking forward to Infinity, because as I say, by the time the racing's died down, it's finished. And then you go to another one. It's like, oh yeah, we get to start again, and we get all the excitement again. And it's just it's a championship. It's a championship but run over a day. And that is, I love that. So I think it was a fantastic idea from VCO to be able to put that on. What tracks would I personally put on a 6-race calendar for season 3? Now that is a good shout, because it's 6 races, you need 6 good tracks, right? And of course you need them to suit GT3s. In terms of what ACC offers, now I'm going to be a little bit biased here because, you know, I'm British, I like the British circuits. So if we're going for an all British calendar, Donny, Snetterton, Silverstone, Brands Hatch, the likes of those, I love them circuits. But in terms of a worldwide season, you've got to have Spa on there. I think definitely in GT3s, the slipstream nature really works well. You've got to have Silverstone on there. I think, do you have Watkins Glen on ACC? I think you do. Do you have Road Atlanta? Maybe. You've got to have an American race, I think. Just to you know, dabble your toes into everywhere you go. Kyalami, I think, is a fantastic circuit, though I don't really know how well it lends itself to some really good racing action. So far we've got Spa, we've got Silverstone, we've got an American circuit, albeit Watkins Glen or whatever. I think we had some really good racing actually last season at Watkins Glen. Just thinking about what we've got. I think Misano is a really good track, really fun to drive, so maybe whack that on there. What are we up to now? 4? We've got 2 races left. Oof, I'm having a think. And the Nürburgring's a really good track. Go to Germany. Have you got the Rebel? We haven't got the Rebel Ring on ACC. Otherwise, I'd say Rebel Ring to round off the season. Those 6 would be my ideal tracks. If I could have any circuits, that'd be then again be quite a different story. But again, yeah, I think Spa, Silverstone, an American circuit, albeit Watkins Glen or whatever. Nürburgring. What else did I say? Actually, I can't even remember myself. Misano. And then if we could have Red Bull Ring, we would have Red Bull Ring. I think that, again, really good circuit. Again, give me your feedback. What do you think in the YouTube chat? What circuits will you put on there? What have I missed? What could be some good shouts for next season? Because you've got to have some good circuits. So we'll come back again in just a second, because Guillaume Hamling, starting his final lap of the race, he's been able to stretch the gap over Bailey Thompson, or actually the gap's been decreased to now 2.5 seconds versus Bailey Thompson. The championship leader, though, himself has been coasting, I think, to second place in terms of the championship. Guillaume Hamling, though, it's been a really quiet race for the Dutchman or the Luxembourgish driver. I think it's Luxembourg. We'll go Benelux, just to be safe, because then that's Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, so I can't be wrong. But it has been a fantastic race. Nicolas Alvarado falling off the back of Victor Martin, unfortunately, to the length of the round, about 4 seconds, falling into the clutches of the Dutchman of Nico Velpen. Fighting now with a P4, though, Guillaume Hamling, the Lamborghini, second place in qualifying. Could be the win here for round number 4. He's driven pristinely. and with absolute precision. He's not put a foot wrong this race at all. Bailey Thompson also really consistent and deserves second place. Victor Martin sort of out of nowhere to catapult himself into a position to fight for the podium with his consistency also deserves to be up there. Though who is going to complete the final 2 places of the top 5? Nicholas Alvarado 4th, Nico Veldman P5, or is it going to swap around? Do they have any chance of swapping? I think it's not quite going to be the case with Nico Veldman. Into the final sector comes Guillaume Hamlin, so we are going to have to focus our attention on him as he crosses the line to signal his victory in this race. Getting a little bit slowed down though by the McLaren, not quite to the extent that he would that Bailey Thompson is going to be wishing, but enough that can definitely throw him off his game. It is going to be a first podium and a first win for Guillaume Hamlin here in Season 2. He's got one more corner, the famous Parabolica, left to go in that Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini. It's going to be a home win for the 351 Lamborghini manufacturer. 40 minutes on the clock from second to first. He takes the checkered flag. He wins in Monza, does Guillaume Hamlin. Second place goes to Bailey Thompson. Third place a few seconds later to Victor Martin to round off the podium. 1.7 seconds covers the top 2 after the 40-minute race. Nicholas Alvarado takes 4th with the fastest lap, and Nico Veldman rounds off your top 5. Now we'll wait for the tail end of the drivers to work their way through. Martin Blankenstein, a P7 overall. Fantastic showing from the Dane to take victory for the AMS. Brilliant stuff. Connell Courtney, Chris Davis, 8th and 9th. Tom Marchinek, 2nd place in the AMS. It'll be Alex Skinner that rounds off the AM podium. And an extended championship lead for Martin Blankenstein, an extended championship lead for Bailey Thompson. Alex Skinner under pressure from Jack Southfield. Again, only racing for pride. I wish Road America was the best track in the US, in my opinion. See, I'm not too familiar with the US track because I haven't really dabbled into that side of motorsport, really. You know, I've been forced to because of the commentary. Road Atlanta, Road America, Indy, you got Watkins Glen, you've got Mosport. If you're talking about North America as a whole, you've got Gilles Villeneuve. There's some really good circuits in North America. But yeah, Road America is a really good circuit. I think the undulation is great. I think Road Atlanta is a really fun circuit. It depends what you're racing, though. More high downfall stuff definitely suits Road America more. More touring car based stuff, definitely Road Atlanta is a good shout because of the undulation and the roller coaster-esque nature of it. But Mosport is a really good circuit if you go to Canada. You've got Gilles Villeneuve, as I say, which is a great circuit. Lots of good shouts in the Americas. Then of course you go to South America, you've got Interlagos. Oh, Interlagos could have been a really good shout. If you get it, if ACC does ever get it, Interlagos is a great shout. But after 40 minutes of racing, we are going to talk you through the timetables, the finishing order after 40 minutes for round number 4 of the TSRC. Then we'll, of course, make a roundup in terms of the action. Guillaume Hamlin from second to first, a home win for his Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. He'll be joined by Bailey Thompson and Victor Martin on the podium with Nicholas Alvarado and Nico Veldman, your top 5. So Smokey from last to 6th. Brilliant showing for the 284 driver of the day ahead of Martin Blankenstein, P1 in the AMS, P7 overall. Connor Courtney P8, Chris Davis and Tom Marchinek rounds off your top 10. Derek Engler in P11 with Tom Davison, Alex Skinner, Jack Southland and Samuel Tremondi. A poor showing in the office for the 111 and the 64, losing ground in the championship. They round off the top 15. Fernando Torres in P16 with Ivan Tomasi just in behind there. And then comes McCrory, Van Vingeren and Jones to round off the top 20 with Brian and Rodriguez in behind those. Just beyond that, we've got Dempsey, Wright, Elias Troyer, Mormada, Lawson, Peter Jackson, unfortunately for his championship charge, did not make the checkered flag. Same too for Mormada and for Lawford as well. Then comes Wells, Sun and Mohammed, neither of which were able to complete a single lap in this race. And of course that is shown by the fact that Derek Sun was nice enough to come and join us in the YouTube broadcast. And cheers for the broadcast. Until next time, take care, Broxy. And I will round off the the broadcast. Now, not the championship. We still have 2 more rounds of that. And speaking of, we head to Indianapolis in a week's time on the 15th of December. A week after that, on the 22nd, we round off Season 2 at the Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. What we have in store for you is a fantastic championship battle all the way to the end, I'm sure. And fingers crossed, some more shake-ups, some great action along the way. 2 40-minute races left to go, 2 15-minute qualifiers left to go in Season 2. It has all come down to this. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had Average Sharpie, of course, taking you through on the production side of things, behind the scenes, clicking all the buttons and showing all the cameras, angles, and making sure you are up to date with all the action. Of course, we've been bringing you through all of the action here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Stick around, turn the bell on, and subscribe. Like the video, of course, if you have enjoyed the broadcast, and check out any future broadcasts that could be on the way. A lot lined up for sure over at JP Broadcasting. As I say, my name has been Zach Sweeney. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk you through all of the action. We'll be here next time, 8 p.m. GMT, of course, for round number 5 at Indianapolis. But until then, take care, look after yourself, look forward to Christmas, get your shopping done, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.